This video is brought to you by Squarespace, and today we are doing a sketchbook tour. Yes, this is the long-awaited sketchbook tour that a few of you guys have been asking, and I'm finally doing it today. First of all, this is my first time doing a sketchbook tour, and I have no idea how to do it like the right way. And this sketchbook is like a diary for my mind, or for whenever my imaginations kind of run wild a little bit. I also use it for sketches, painting studies, and documenting some of the painting concepts that I have. Most of my artworks doesn't really have any meanings or story to them, but I will go through every pages inside this sketchbook, and maybe for a few interesting ones I will share the inspirations or the thought process behind it. Oh, and before I begin, this sketchbook is from daixykaren. It is 150 GSM acid-free cartridge paper sketchbook. This was actually my second purchase, and my current sketchbook that I'm using right now is also the same kind from the same brand. I really like how versatile this sketchbook can be. I can use watercolor, ink, wash, acrylic, pen, color pencil, and almost every kind of medium to paint. The paper can handle wet mediums pretty well, and it's affordable, so it makes the perfect sketchbook for me. Now let's get into the sketchbook. So this was used in between January 2020 to December 2021. It took me almost 2 whole years to complete because I don't paint every day. I mean, to be honest, I consider myself a pretty lazy person. I only draw or paint when I feel like to, and I definitely don't do that every day. I mean, who does that? Well, I'm sure there are artists that paint every day, and I truly admire them, but I can't be them. I don't know, I'm just too lazy, I guess. Okay, so the first page in this sketchbook are these pencil sketch of rats. Because 2020 is the year of rat, and in order to celebrate Chinese New Year, because I'm Chinese, I came up with this idea to paint a portrait of a rat. I honestly don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, I sketched this side profile of a rat, and then it has ruby as the eyes, because rats have red eyes, and this is me double checking the facts, and I am correct. I wanted to incorporate some Chinese elements inside the painting, so I thought of painting a Chinese knot and make it like an ear accessory for the rat. And this is the final painting. I wasn't sure about the ruffle color I drew in the initial sketch, so I replaced it with flowers and leaves in the final painting. So this is a painting concept that I had. I wanted to paint a carousel minus the horse. So I sketched one out, and then I noticed there are a few changes I wanted to make. So I did a second sketch with more details and patterns I wanted to add. And this is the final painting. Instead of horses, I painted jellyfish in the carousel because at the time I was very, very obsessed with painting jellyfish. I don't know why, but they look really magical and gives out such a ethereal vibes. I want to talk about this pencil sketch here. This is a study of another artist's work, and this is the original painting. It's called Intimacy by Thomas Blacksher. I really like the dramatic light and shadow work in the original painting, so I wanted to do a study piece of the artwork to also practice my pencil rendering skills. This was done using ink pen. I wanted to draw water reflections and ripples, and on the left side is sort of like an inverted version. So the light part will appear dark and the dark part will appear light. It's a fun little mindless painting that I do quite often. The painting process was actually pretty therapeutic. These are more landscape studies. This picture is the final painting of the first landscape study on the left. On the right though, at first I wanted to paint a water lily pond inspired by Monet's water lilies painting, but then I got lazy and I forgot about it, so now it's just a background. These are some ink pen drawings of portrait I found on Pinterest. Drawing human portraits are actually one of my weaknesses, and I really wanted to practice more and to draw better, so I drew these as an exercise and I quite like them. Okay, so this was actually my first time painting Studio Ghibli scenes. These were done in 2020, so looking back at these right now, they are kind of bad. Like, look at the clouds. I can't blend them for good. They look patchy. I like the reflections though. I also spent a lot of time painting all the details on the train. You can see the figures inside the train as well. That's probably the only thing I like about this painting. And as for these two landscape scenes, you can clearly tell everything was done in a rush. The proportions were off, the details were a mess. I didn't even finish painting the reflections of the sea. I gave up halfway. The flowers were just blobs of paint. Yeah, it's really bad. I admit it. It's so bad. But hey, you gotta start somewhere, so I'll give myself credit for at least I'm willing to try to paint. This is also a painting concept that I had, and I'm gonna show you the picture of the final painting, Sonder. So I did a thumbnail sketch first, and then I did a simple background study to decide the colors I want for the sky and for the clouds. And also I did a simple sketch of the subject I want to put in the middle of the painting. So after I decided all the elements I want to add inside the painting, I just go ahead and group everything together to create the final piece of painting. That is my creative process. There's one funny thing about this painting here. If you look closely, the man on the bike doesn't have arms and legs. So I found a picture of this landscape on Pinterest. I really like the color in the original picture, so I did a painting study of it. But I hate painting human figures because I could never get the proportion right. So I think I gave up halfway while I was painting the man on the bike. Well, if you ignore that, it's still a pretty landscape painting. I mean, look at the clouds. The sky, hello, and the sea, they look amazing. Except for the man on the bike. And for this page, it's around the time when I bought the Jelly Gouache palette. So this is like testing out the medium kind of art. It's just so random and I just trying out to blend everything and such. And yeah, this marks the beginning of my gouache phase. It is now my go-to art medium to create paintings, and I can't wait to show you guys the gouache paintings in my sketchbook. Before we do that, I want to take the time to thank our sponsor for today's video, Squarespace. If you are an artist like me, or you are an illustrator, designer, photographer, and you want to create a portfolio to showcase your amazing creations, or you are considering selling your art and merchandise online, Squarespace can be a solution. I'm sure you guys heard about their templates. And there is a reason why everyone knows about it. I mean, there are hundreds of professional yet creative templates designed for every category. After choosing your favorite templates on Squarespace, you are still able to fully customize your page. Choose your favorite fonts and colors and add different features to your website that best represents your idea, your brand, or your business. And with the help of Squarespace next generation website design system called Fluid Engine, you can do all that and go full creative mode on every devices. For example, I can update my portfolio anytime, anywhere I want, on my laptop, my tablet, or my phone. I can just upload the pictures, drag and drop my artworks, writing the details, customize the design, and it's done. It's really just that simple. Now, if you are considering selling merch online but you don't have the right resources, Squarespace now works with a print-on-demand provider called Printful, which allows you to design high-quality custom merch without having to handle the logistics of production, inventory, or shipping. I really like this feature on Squarespace, and I think it's perfect for artists or creatives that don't have the budget to order products upfront. Neither do we have any space to hold all the inventories and packaging, or even dealing with shipping and order fulfillments. This is a way that allows us to create a passive income stream while we can focus all of our time and energy working on our crafts. So if you want to build your online presence today, go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/daixykaren to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace. And now let's get back into the sketchbook tour. These are the first few landscape studies I did using the jelly gouache. I was surprised by how pigmented they were because they are student grade art medium, so I did not have high expectations, but they turned out to be great. I really like the colors. It's so vibrant and easy to blend as well. So I wanted to do a large landscape painting using the jelly gouache. So I drew this thumbnail sketch, and eventually I also did a big sketch here. I wanted to paint mushrooms and clouds and a big flower field. I will show you the final painting later because I also did some more study on the other page. This is also the beginning of my mixed media art phase while also rediscovering my art style. In this spread, I use gouache, ink, and color pencil. I just draw anything that comes to my mind and creating different textures and patterns. So this page went viral on the internet. It was all over on Pinterest at one point, and I was so shocked. I don't understand why people love it so much, but I appreciate that. I really do. I think I cried at the time. This was actually the painting study of the sketch I did on the front page. I painted a simple background study to decide the colors I want to use for the sky and what kind of mushrooms I wanted to paint. And this is how the final painting looks like. This was a frog I saw on TikTok. It has a butterfly wings on their back and it's so cute. I had to paint it. And this was the beginning of 2021, and I thought since I painted a rat last year, why not keep the traditions going, even though I only did like 1 year. So for the year of cow, I painted a cow. And yes, I painted a tiger last year and a rabbit this year. So I guess I'm gonna paint a dragon next year. And for this page, we have mushrooms. More mushrooms. I was super obsessed with painting mushrooms at the time. That's it, period. this was a study for a painting concept that I had. I wanted to recreate the great wave of Kanagawa painting, so I did a few color study using watercolor ink. And I'm gonna show you the final painting, but please do not have a high expectation because I hate it. I hate the final painting. And this is it. I still hate it. Let's move on. This was one time when I asked my followers to give me painting suggestions on IG story. It's a fun little thing I see a lot of artists do. So I think I received over 100 painting suggestions. Everybody is just so creative. But in the end, I only chose to paint 5 of them. I painted this magic potion, some strawberries, a skull, a crow, and fairies. Oh, this is actually one of my favorite in this sketchbook. I don't know how to describe the feeling, but every time I look at this page, I just cannot take my eyes off it. I love it so much. Maybe it's the pink blobs. I love the pink blobs. And this is actually a self-portrait that doesn't even look like me. And I painted this pomegranate. Pomegranate is actually a pain in the ass to paint, but I think I did a really good job here because I spent about an hour painting this pomegranate, and it turns out not bad. And the quote in the middle, "There is no other side," is actually from the show BoJack Horseman. I was binging on BoJack Horseman at the time, and then when I was at the episode where Herb Kazal said to BoJack, "No, BoJack, there is no other side. This is it." I don't know why, but it really resonates with me because I always view death as the end of everything, the beginning of nothing. No afterlife, no reincarnation. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to simply not exist anymore. Okay, whoa, that was too deep. Let's look at butterflies. Okay, this is actually my most favorite piece of painting inside this sketchbook. It's a butterfly done using daixykaren method, which is a transfer technique that you apply ink or paint or any other wet mediums on the surface, and then when the paint's still wet, you can either fold the paper or you can cover it with another paper, for example. And the way it works is to squeeze the paint between two surfaces to create a mirror image. This technique was widely adopted by the surrealists to create imagery by chance rather than through conscious control. And this is The Secret World of Ariadne. I'm sure some of you guys recognize this. Some of you probably watched the painting process video on my channel, and maybe it's the reason why you were subscribed to me. Thank you so much. Well, this is my second time painting Studio Ghibli scenes, and I really love this one. I still love it to this day. I felt like I had a great improvement compared to the first time I paint Ghibli scenes. And I remember I spent 2 days painting these 2 scenes, and I just go all in and really focus on rendering all the details, adding the highlights and everything. I really love it. And we are down to the last 2 pages of this sketchbook. These 2 were in one of my Paint With Me videos. The first one is abstract style experimental collage work. I just remember I have this picture of a butterfly painting that I don't want to throw away, and so I cut it into strips and then I pasted it in the sketchbook, and then I just drew a bunch of random patterns around it. It's a fun little thing I do in my sketchbook. No reason, no explanation, no meanings and stuff. And the second one is a painting study of a cat that went viral on Twitter. The original picture, it has such an interesting color study and the cat is just too adorable, so I had to paint it. And so I did. And yeah, this is the end of the sketchbook tour. Yay! Thank you for sticking around. I'm surprised if you're still here. Let me know which one's your favorite. I told you mine, maybe you can tell me yours. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!